Well, good morning, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I want to come to you today with a Friday Reads. This is a video that I am going to, talk about just what's going on in life in general, talk about books that I have finished, books that I'm currently reading, and books that I am about ready to get started on. And so I hope everyone out there is having a great week. It has been a great week for me. In my family. We've finally got some rain yesterday. Let's start with the weather. You can always get a good conversation about the weather. So here in Southwest Iowa, we've been a little bit dry, at least in the area where I live. So other areas around us have gotten rain, but it seems like every day this last week it clouded up and it looked like storm clouds were brewing and there was going to be rain dumped, and one of two things either happened. The clouds either split and went around us, or they came right close to us and then it's like they just dissipated and they just went away and we got nothing out of it. Well, yesterday we finally got some rain and that was really nice. I was umpiring yesterday morning for the middle school kids, and it finished our game. Were we in the third inning or fourth? We may have been in the fourth inning. Ended up becoming a rain out, but we canceled that game, and then we got rain all day, and then in the evening I was able to umpire again, but it led to a beautiful night where things cooled down because the temperatures had been in the low to mid 90s, not 80s, 90s. It had been a little warm and humid, and so it cooled the temperatures down. Had a beautiful night last night. The dust on our little league field when I was umpiring for the sixth graders, we had dust that was pretty thick, and anytime the wind was blowing, it was up in the air, and it was starting to make for a miserable time sitting there. But once we got all the rain, everything packed down, and it turned into a beautiful playing surface and a beautiful night to watch baseball, and umpiring was fun. So, and last night both pitchers on both teams were throwing strikes, and so the game moved right along, and that's always good. If you've ever been at a game where it's nothing but walks by the pitcher because they're struggling to throw strikes, that can be, but pitchers were throwing strikes, so that was good. But anyway, here at the Ruttenberg Library, we've also got another big thing happening. My family just recently purchased a house, and our closing date will be in August. So that day is going to be here before you know it. But we bought a house, and so I'm really excited because the library portion, what you see behind me, I'm going to have in this new house. I'm going to be able to display eventually all of my books instead of having things in boxes and some of them up in the storage room where you can't even get to them. It's going to be wonderful, and we're going to be able to display all the books, and I'll be able to find stuff quickly. I'll be able to do it by author like I had intended in the first place. And so we're really excited here. Today we're going to go put the house that we're living in right now, we're going to go put it on the market. So exciting times, big changes, and it's weird because I've talked to you guys on the channel about my life when I was a kid. I was in foster homes and I bounced from home to home to home, and living in one place for a long time never happened for me. And so this house that I currently live in, we've lived in this house for about 17 years. This is the 18th year we've lived in it, and this is by far the longest I've ever lived in one house for a set period of time. And so we've kind of fallen in love with this house, and we do love this house, but just another opportunity came up, and we had decided to jump on it. It was my wife's house that she grew up in, and we were real excited about being able to do that and take a chance and go out on a limb and just try something new. And so we're real excited about that. Life-changing things, but nerve-wracking things. Anybody that's ever bought or sold a house, that's always nerve-wracking, but we are excited to move forward in that. So be looking for changes in the coming months to the Ruttenberg Library. Not for a couple of months, but coming soon. So anyway, with that being said, that's about what my life has been, is umpiring ball games down at the ball field, and then the honeydew fix 'em up lists around the house. All those honeydew lists, some of those items and I know many of you can probably, you probably do the same thing sometimes, where something comes up that you need to get done, but I could wait till later, and it gets put on the back burner. Well, all those things that were on the back burner are now on the list. And yesterday we finished the list, at least the first and second rounds of the list. So that has gotten done. So we're real happy about that. That's a weight off our shoulders. And so today we're going to drop off my daughter at Vacation Bible School, and she's going to be doing that. And we're going to go list our house, and then we're going to go back for a parents. They got a parents night, or not night, but parents day there at the Vacation Bible School. So we'll go do that. And then, we are officially listed. So anyway, like I said, life changes. But anyway, let's talk about books now. Let's talk about books. So what have I read? So earlier in the year, well, where was it last year? Maybe last year. I told you about, I've got a list of authors that I have enjoyed throughout my life that I want to read their completed works. And so my goal for myself is to read at least one of their books every year until I figure this out, until I get through their complete collection. I've talked to you about Stephen Ambrose. He's one of them that I've read a lot of his books, but not all of them. And so I've been working my way through his. H.W. Brands is another one. John Jakes is one. John Grisham, I've read all of his. So I've got like a list of authors that I really, really enjoy reading. And one of those that I have enjoyed, it's hit and miss depending on the stories, but Stephen King. And this book that I chose to read this time was Christine. And I finished this yesterday. This is a 503-page book, at least with the paperback version. It was brought out, and this is a signet book, this particular version, and it was brought out in 1983. This version is not 1983, but the original was a 1983. And as you can see from his list of books, he's got a lot, and this is a old list. This list is much bigger now, because he seems to come out with one or two of them every year, sometimes three. I mean, he can be a pretty productive writer. But anyway, Stephen King in this book, he brings a pair of best friends together, and he also pulls apart those best friends. And and then there's a girl mixed in this, and they're high school age, about seniors in seniors in high school, right in there, thinking about college. And there's a car, a 58 Fury, it is, what would we call it? Demon possessed, maybe? Possessed by a spirit, and the spirit becomes its old owner, and it goes on a killing spree. And there's not a whole lot left to say other than the best friend who bought the car is becoming possessed by that same spirit, and the other friend, so Arnie is the one that bought the car, and what is his friend's name? Now I'm going to go blank. Christine is the car. Lee is the girl. Arnie is the one that gets possessed. LeBay is the last name of the guy who formerly owned the car, and his spirit will kind of possess the car. And then, oh goodness, why can I not think of his name? The narrator. He's the narrator of the whole story, the friend. Dennis. Man, Anyway, Dennis is out to save his friend by trying to destroy the car. That becomes kind of the whole gist of the story, especially towards the end. The last 1/3 of the book really picks up pace. I enjoyed the book. The last 1/3 is by far the best, I think. There's parts of it that run a little slow. You probably could have cut out 150 pages of this book and still made it fly, but that's a typical Stephen King. There's always a big chunk that you could, where he was probably wordy and carried the story longer than it needed to be carried. But I enjoyed it. It was a good read. I started that let's see, was this in the spring of this last school year, and finally got it finished up. I kind of hammered on it in June and got it done. And then I got my first book done for June on the Range, guys. I told you I was going to read True Grit, and I finished this morning. Only took me really a couple of days once you get to going on it, maybe 2-3 days how long would it have taken me? I don't know how many hours. It wasn't super long. It's a pretty fast read. Some of you would be able to read it in one sitting. It took me a couple, 3 sittings to read it, but I finished it this morning. It goes really hand in hand with the movie from what I remember. I need to go back and rewatch the movie. I haven't seen the movie for several years, but I love the movie, and so I thought I'd love this, and it was pretty good. Now, I didn't give it a super high score. I don't know. It didn't. It kept me reading, but it didn't like grab me. If that makes any sense, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I enjoyed it. I probably liked the movie more than the book, but really enjoyed it. And it's about a little girl, Maddie, who her dad hires on some help. The help ends up killing her dad, stealing his money, stealing his horse, and Maddie goes and tries to find somebody, a police officer of some sort, in this case a federal marshal, to go hunt down the Cheney, Tom, I think it was Tom Cheney, wasn't that his name? Maddie Ross is her name, yeah, Tom Cheney, and to go hunt him down in the Oklahoma Territory, and she's from Arkansas, and so they hire Rooster Cogburn, who in the original movie, of course, was John Wayne. It was Jeff Bridges in the newer version. Both of them, I liked both versions of the movie, but Rooster Cogburn is kind of a hard, rough around the edges type character. And well, anyway, they go through a whole series of adventures, and they hunt down Tom Cheney and bring him to justice. I know it's maybe a little bit of a spoiler, but at the same time, I think everybody knows the movie, everybody knows the story. So it was pretty good. I would recommend it. I mean, it's a good Western. It's based in, if you talk in time period, it's based right after the Civil War, 1870s. And it's got a bunch of these from Arkansas, a bunch of ex-Confederate soldiers, and that kind of plays into the story. But anyway, that's what I am reading. So let's get in, or excuse me, that's what I read. Let's get into what I'm currently reading right now. So the book that I will probably finish next, I'm probably going to hammer this out in the next 2 days, is my opening day project, where here at the Ruttenberg Library, we absolutely love baseball. I've either played it, coached it, or umpired for it, and of course watched it since I was, a really young boy. Let's just keep it at that. It's been 30 plus years of watching baseball, and baseball has always been a love and passion of mine. And so I started this opening day project earlier this year. I decided I was going to, I collect baseball biographies, memoirs, histories of teams, histories of, maybe it's a couple of players and their friendship. But anyway, I collect all these baseball books, and I had bought in the last year or two quite a few of them, and I just hadn't gotten around to reading them. They keep getting put on the back burner, and so I made it a priority that I'm going to read them, and they're not just going to collect dust on my shelf. And so throughout the baseball season this year, I am going to read one baseball book every month for the entire baseball season. And I've already read the first couple. And this month's selection that I started last year, and I was kind of, last month, and I was kind of dipping in and out of it. And I thought maybe I'd have it done in May, but school got really busy there at the end, and I didn't end up finishing it. So this just turned into, because I'd already read my May selection, so this just turned into my June book. At least for right at the moment. I might end up picking up another one before it's all said and done, because like I said, I think I'll have this done in the next couple days. This is the Sporting News Selects Baseball's 100 Greatest Players. This is the second edition. Thoroughly loving this book. It's just like 2 pages for each player. There's the second half of the book here, Greg Maddux. And you notice the wonderful photography. They usually give a nice quote on the picture page. Then they give a big statistical thing on the player, and then a couple 3 paragraphs about what that player did during his career and what he meant to his team. Thoroughly enjoying this. Like I said, that'll probably be finished probably tomorrow, maybe Sunday, something like that. Another author that I am trying to read the complete works of is Agatha Christie, as many of you have known, and you've been kind of following me on the channel with my Agatha Christie stuff. I have multiple things going on with Agatha Christie. So Peg over at the History Shelf is reading the Miss Marple series, and she's been reading one of those a month, and I started joining her with that, and that's where I got started. And so we finished, what did we finish this month? Oh, hang on a second. Let's see. It was, nope, it's up here. Pocket Full of Rye. Excuse me, I couldn't remember the name of it. We finished the Pocket Full of Rye, and I did that earlier in the month. Or last month, that was May's read. And so I've been going through the Marples with her, but I've also been going through the Poirot books and been enjoying those. But then I kind of made a big decision that I have like a book that is like a bedside, what do they call it? It's a bedside, tableside book that has a synopsis for every story Agatha Christie wrote. And then it's got some other, just little things about her stories and her life. And it's got them all in the order they were published. And so I made it a decision, I'm going to read through all of them. And I've been doing that. And so this, the next book that I am starting, and I read like the first chapter, I got to get going on it, but is The Secret of Chimneys. All right, and I don't know much about this other than I can read the little synopsis on the back here. It says, eager to leave his job as a tour guide in Zimbabwe, international vagabond Anthony Cade meets by chance an old acquaintance who offers him a small sum to dispatch a few errands in England. Ensuing events find Cade at a weekend party at Chimneys, the historic home of Lord Caterham, when a murder occurs. As much a murder mystery as it is a treasure hunt, the tale is chock full of impersonators, inspectors, riddles, and intrigue. The Secret of Chimneys is a first-class romp and one of Christie's best early thrillers. And so, getting ready for this. It's introducing Superintendent Battle, and hoping I'm going to enjoy that. I've enjoyed pretty much all her books so far. I've read quite a few so far. But if you are knowledgeable in her publishing history, she published a ton of them, and so I've got a long ways to go, but I'm like a chapter into this. That's going to be one of my reads for this month. I've been working through, and the last couple of days I was finishing those 2 books that I showed you earlier, but I've been going and just reading about a chapter a day, and I've been reading through, and then there was Light, Abraham Lincoln and the American Struggle by John Meacham. This was his new biography that he had out, or his newest one, and thoroughly enjoying this. They are in the, 1848. Oh yeah, he's in the Mexican War, or the end of the Mexican War. They just did the Mexican Cession, the acquisition of the Southwest United States, and of course he is going against President Polk, which is turning out to not be a very popular decision with the American people at that point. And so, again, really enjoying this. He's doing a good job of building that background of where Lincoln stood on slavery. Going through another autobiography, So Help Me God, by Mike Pence. He is at the point he's been asked to become the vice president on the 2016 Republican ticket. And so that's been interesting read, because most of the stuff he is talking about is basically, now that he's past the year 2000 and he's been moving forward, this is all the stuff from my adult life. And so it's been very interesting reading that. So those are the books I've been working on. And now let me show you the 3 that I'm going to get started on in this next week. So with June on the Range, of course, the big thing that Michael K. Vaughan wanted was everybody to try to read 4 Westerns this month. So I've got my first Western done. But the other item that he put in there, he wanted everybody to read at least 1 Zane Grey and at least 1 Louis L'Amour. And so I'm going to read my Zane Grey for this month. And it is Robber's Roost. And I picked this up dirt cheap at a sale. And yeah, I hope it's going to be fun. Zane Grey, I've read a couple of his other books and I really enjoyed them. I've read, let's see, have I read a Western by him? I might not have read a Western by him. I read a couple of his non-Western books. One of them was a baseball book. What was it called? The Greatest Pitcher or something like that. I can't remember right off the top of my head, something like that. But I really enjoyed it. So Zane Grey, looking forward to the Robber's Roost. That's going to be one that I'm going to get started on. Another one that I started during the school year, didn't get very far, and I put it down because I just realized I had too much on my plate. But this is another author that I'm trying to read their collected works, and I've been trying to read at least one a year. And maybe by the time I die, I get through all of them. But James Michener, and this year's selection, or at least maybe the first half of the year, I should finish this summer, is Hawaii. And it's a big old chunky monkey of a book. It's 1,000. Let's see. Well, if I can find a page number here. Oh, there we go. Let me try that again. 1,130 pages. So this is going to take me probably through the summer, unless I really start buckling down and hammering down on it. But I bet it takes me through the summer, and then I'll start a new one up when school gets going, or when I get this finished anyway. So Hawaii by James Michener. And this is the part that I had read. It went through, so I am on page like 23. And it went through the volcanic activity that created the islands. It talked about some of the plant life that got started on the islands, and then the very last part, it started talking about the peoples who came to the islands. And so it is a beginning to end history of Hawaii in fictional form. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then last, but certainly not least, is Agatha Christie's The Mirror Cracked. It was also printed as, what was the other name it was printed as? Was it Cracked from Side to Side? The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side. That's the other title this has been printed as. But this is the Marple a Month selection for this month, for June, on Peg at the History Shelf. Her and Martine, they've been reading through all of the Miss Marple series, and this is this month's selection. So I'm going to get started on that here sometime in the near future. Dug through the collection and found that one on the shelf. I knew I had it, just had to find it. But anyway, BookTube, this video has gone on long enough. So these are the books that I have read, currently reading, and getting ready to get started. So, what are you guys reading? Got anything good going on for any of the reading events? Are you following along with the Miss Marple series? Do you have any authors that you're trying to read the completed works of? Let me know down in the comments section, and I hope everything's going well, and I hope your weather's as beautiful as ours. So until next time, BookTube, happy reading.